and welcome to my sewing room, except when we're not in my sewing room. We're actually in my granddaughter Layla's bedroom, and we're going to do some fun things for Easter today. We're going to make some little stuffed Easter eggs with our Stellaire sewing machine, so you can see some of the other fun stuff that we can do with our sewing machine that doesn't necessarily have to be a table runner or a quilt or a doll or any of the other things that I've done on this video channel. So with that said, let's go ahead and get started. All right. So we're in front of my Stellaire sewing machine. My grandson Ozzy is sitting in front of it. I'm standing behind because I want you to be able to see the screen really well. And we're in my design center. So we're going to make some little egg pillows. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to put in an egg shape. And if you go into the shapes here, there is something that kind of looks like an egg. So that one will work just great for us. So we're going to hit OK. Then I'm going to hit size, and I'm going to make it just as big as I possibly can just by holding down the size button until it fills up that whole screen, because we're going to make little pillows out of this. So that'll make a nice little pillow. And we're going to do an outline stitch first, and then we're going to fill it in with some decorative stitches. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just say OK, and then I'm going to push. I'm going to make sure this is a running stitch, not a satin stitch. So if I go into here, I can see it's saying satin stitch. So I want to say running stitch, and I want to make it black. That's okay. I'm going to hit the pour button. I'm just going to tap it like that, and it's going to do a running stitch. When I push next, it's going to show it to me. This is the part that you want to save it to, so I can bring it up again later. If I go to the next window, it's going to save it as an embroidery design. So save it to the pocket right now. Say save it into your sewing machine. Hit preview, and then hit set. And it's going to warn you that it's converting it to an embroidery. That's what I want to do. Now I'm going to hit add, and I'm going to go back into my design center, and I should be able to find that in my memory with the arrow coming out of the pocket. Let's hope I saved it right. There it is, right there. And I'm going to set that down. So now we're going to have some fun with it. I don't want to sew this outline again, but I want to still be able to see it, so Ozzy knows where to put his decorations. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit this button here, and I'm going to say don't sew this. Okay. Make sure that it says pour, and I'm going to tap it like that. So now it's not going to sew that, but we're going to draw something on the inside. And I'm going to just show him a little bit about how you can do this. This is really fun. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just wants to be something fun that we can create a pillow, and you can save a memory that your grandchildren drew for you. So Ozzy, what we're going to do is, this is a little paintbrush right here, and this is your colors. So we don't want to do white because white won't show and we won't be able to see it. Even if we're going to make little eyes, we're going to make the eyes like green or something, and it won't make any difference because we'll change it to white thread later. And then we can just take our finger and color like this until it's filled all the way in and it's created an eye. I'm going to say go back until that's gone, so we can try something different. Another thing you could do if you wanted to is you could put that same egg shape that we did a minute ago and say okay. See, it's really big. We're going to hit size, and we're going to make the size of an eye in this egg. Like, that's a pretty big eye, but I like it. There's an eye, and then we're going to say okay, and we're going to hit the duplicate button. Now we have two eyes, and if you want to fill those with color, all you have to do is hit fill and tap. They're green, but we're going to sew them out in white. And then I want you to take your paintbrush and put some black on the inside just by using your paintbrush. We're going to hit this, and we're going to make it black. Say okay, and just use your finger and color. You can make his eyes on the top, you can make them on the bottom, wherever you want to put an eye. That's a pretty tiny little eyeball. Do you want to just rub? There you go. There's a bigger one. There you go. Now, what kind of a nose do you want him to have? Do you have a big nose or just a little circle nose?
A big nose.
So you could draw one like this if you want to. And I'm going to hit back, and I'm going to let you draw it. Go ahead and draw him a nose. I like that. That's pretty good. Now give him a big smile. Okay, now do you want him to like be sticking his tongue out? So all you have to do is put your finger here and draw it like that, and that would be sticking his tongue out. Let's go back and I'll let you do it. There you go. Now watch, if you hit the pour button right there and change that black, hit that one right there, change it to red, any red or orange or something that you want to do. Say okay, and then just tap right in the middle of that tongue. Oh, I wonder why it did that. There, that's okay. There, we got it. Oh, I see. It's because we're out of the egg. That's why it did that. So let's go back and let's we're gonna go back again. When you draw his tongue, make sure it stays in that circle so it doesn't go outside of the egg. So we'll go back to the paintbrush and we'll go back to black. Say okay. And then just make his tongue a little bit smaller so it stays in the egg. There we go. Now we're going to do the same thing. We're going to do pour. We're going to change it to red. And then just tap it right in the center. Yay! Now we have two eyes. Now what I want you to do is use your paintbrush and go into here and just pick a color and make some dots or some zigzags or something. You know, eggs, Easter eggs. So we want to make him funny. So pick a color. Say okay. And then just kind of draw some, yeah, something like that. Do you want to put a couple polka dots on him? Okay. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to push next and preview. Let's see if it came out as an embroidery design. Say okay. And voila, there's our face on top of our egg shape that we did before. So we're going to set that down, say okay. And we've just created an embroidery pillow that we're going to make. And we're going to save this in the memory. So hit memory and say save it in the sewing machine. Voila, we have our egg. Okay, so now my granddaughter Layla is sitting in front of the design center, and we've got the egg up there blank, and she's going to do her own egg design on this design center. So let's watch her do that. Now, if you make sure that you go all the way to the edge like this, you should be able to hit the pour button and pick a color and just tap it. Oh, see, we didn't go all the way to the edge, so it didn't work. So we're going to go back. But there's a zoom button here that we can zoom in and see paintbrush. Yellow. There. So now hopefully we can go back and pick a color like purple. And whoops, let's go all the way out again so we can see what the heck we're doing. Yep, see, you could just do a complete fill if you want to do a complete fill, but if you don't want to, just hit undo and you can do what you want. Okay? And do the paintbrush if you want to make dots or something. Make sure the paintbrush is selected. Okay, so we've come back to the design center because we decided that those stitches that we put in that Easter egg were a little too intense, and we decided to go ahead and use the fills that are in the machine. And if you remember where those are, I'm going to turn this just a little bit. Remember, if you hit this part right here, you can hit this up here and hit select, and you have all of these different designs to choose from. So I could actually come down here and hit this one right here and then say okay and make sure I've got the right color. We have pink in here. Say okay again, and then I can just tap it and it'll fill with a different kind of an outline fill that doesn't make it too intense. We're going to embroider this on polar fleece, and we don't want it to be all buckly. We want to make a nice little embroidered pillow with it. So we did that. So then the next thing I want to do is I wanted to show Layla a little bit about how to make a more solid dot. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the zoom button, which is a little bit higher than my camera, but you know where it is. You're going to hit plus so we can get in really close and see what we're doing. Move over here to another spot where we got a nice clean spot. We're going to pick the zigzag stitch in the green. Say okay, and then I'm going to have her go ahead and draw her dot again on the screen. And see, this way with her zoomed in, she can see what she's doing more and fill in all the blank spots, and we'll get a little bit better egg. So we all make mistakes, and you know that we've already done Layla's egg twice, and now we're actually doing it a third time because I don't know if you guys noticed it, but we forgot to save it. So when we got ready to sew it out, we didn't have an egg ready to go. So she's redoing it again, and she's learned a whole lot about how to move the zoom over and draw her circles again. And now we got a whole bunch of polka dots all over our egg. And now what we're going to do is we're going to move the zoom down and do some more. Are you all finished? You want to do one more?
One more.
Okay. Okay, so now you're going to push the minus magnifying glass till we come all the way out. So that one, see, there's our new egg. We're going to embroider that one out now, and you can see that she's got purple fabric in there. So I want you to reach over and push next, and then preview, and say okay. Voila, and push set. And it's warning you that it's going to convert it. So we're just going to say okay. And now it's ready to embroider out. So we're going to push embroidery. And for some reason, the first step with the outline of the egg is not there. But I'm not going to worry about it. We're just going to start embroidering it out with that first color. So what color do you want to be the first one? Okay, so just go ahead and push the down button and push go. And I think what we've decided, Layla wants to put her name on the back of her egg. So after we finish embroidering this whole thing out, we're going to embroider the back and then put the front on top of that. So we'll do that in just a couple of minutes. Okay, so I decided I was going to do one of these on my own so I can create my own embroidered egg. So the first thing I want to do is I want to do the whole fill part of the face like we did before on Layla's, and I'm going to hit this button here and go into here. I'm going to try and do this a little bit slower than we did when we were doing with the kids. Push select. Here's all of the fun designs that we have built in here. So we could basically do it any way that we wanted to do it. You've got some different kinds of swirls. I think I did like this one that Layla picked that looks like little crackles all over it. And I'm going to do that in purple. Say okay. And hit pour. And then I'm just going to tap. And the whole thing is going to turn into the little crackles. Then I want to change the size of this. But before I do that, I want to go ahead and I want to put some eyes and a mouth on it just for the fun of it. So let's go into this part here and let's pick the oval shape again. Say okay. And then I'm going to size that and I'm going to make it smaller. So it's about this size. And there's an eye. And I'm going to say okay, and I'm going to duplicate that. So here's your duplicate key right here, and we're going to put 2 eyes in the middle of our egg. And then I'm going to change the fill on it. And to change the fill of it, all I have to do is tell it that I want it to be white. Say okay. Make sure the pour button is chosen, and then tap in the middle of my shape. And what did it do? It actually did the crackle in there. So I have to go back in here again, and I have to tell it that I want it to do the zigzag stitch instead. That's a fill stitch. And now I'm going to tap it again. And now I've got 2 little white eyes in there. So that looks pretty good to me. I like it. So I'm going to put a circle in the middle of that. And instead of using the paintbrush, I'm actually going to go in here and I'm going, oops, sorry, wrong place. I'm going to go into my shapes button and I'm going to pick a circle, say okay, and then I'm going to hit size, and we're going to make that go all the way down to probably about that. Nope, that's still too big. Let's go that small. And then I'm going to put this right over here like this, hit okay, duplicate, put another one over here. And then we're going to hit the pour button, and we're going to pick black, say okay, and pour and tap and tap. Now the next thing I want to do is I want to give my little egg a little highlight in the middle. So we are going to use the paintbrush this time, and I'm going to pick white. And then all you have to do is use a stylist or something that you've got, and then just put a dot. And that just adds just a little bit of highlight in the middle of his eyes. And we could do eyelashes if we wanted to. We're not going to do that though. I'm going to use the paintbrush again. And I'm going to come in here and I'm going to pick a dark purple because he's a purple egg. And I'm going to just kind of give him a little nose like this. And don't forget, you can come up and hit your plus sign, move your red box over. That'll get you really close to what you're doing. And I kind of messed this up a little bit right here. I didn't want that. So I'm going to say undo, and I'm going to do it a little bit better. Let's move his nose over here. So now I can see what I'm doing. And let's just do... There we go. And then I'm going to use white again. And I'm just going to make a little white highlight right in the middle of his nose like that. So that kind of looks like a little jelly bean to me. I think that worked out pretty good. So we're going to do minus. And now all I want to do is give him kind of a funny little smile. So let's go in here and pick black. I guess that's black. Okay. And... And remember, if you don't like it, you can always hit undo and you can try it again. I'm going to hit my plus sign so I can see better what I'm doing. Let's do here and here and move my red box down. And then I'm going to give him just a little bit of a grin like that. And I think I want my egg to have little eyebrows. There he is. I think he looks pretty good. So now I'm going to go minus out. That looks pretty good to me. I'm going to hit next and preview. Voila. There's my egg all finished. And I'm going to hit set. Okay. And then I'm going to get ready to sew that out. So we're going to go away for a minute and hoop up our fabric, and then we're going to embroider out our 3 eggs that we've made. Okay, we're getting ready to sew out our first egg that we made. So Ozzy's in front of the sewing machine and he's going to do that. And then we're kind of just going to quickly fast forward through all of this, but let you watch us as we go to do. Okay, I think the machine is asking for white now. So go ahead and put the white in there so we can start working on his eyes. And remember we said earlier that we were going to make his eyes yellow just because so we could see them. But we know better than to actually put yellow thread in there. We're going to put some white in there to do his eyes. These machines are so easy for the young ones to be able to use. I remember the very first time I ever bought an embroidering machine, my daughter was only about 12 years old and she started learning how to use the embroidery machine, and now she's 30. So that shows how long I've been doing that stuff. Yeah, go ahead and push the needle down and then push go. There you go. Wait, hold on just a minute. We forgot to push the needle threader. Hit the threader first. There, now hit the foot down. Hit the foot down. Whoops, sorry. Now, hit go. Now we should be good to go. Looks like it's starting to embroider. How many people does it take to embroider an Easter egg? Okay, so our Easter egg is completely finished now. And I know that when we created this, we did not make a second Easter egg on top of the first one, but you'll notice that once you finish your embroidery, and I'm going to just move the camera a little bit so you can see over here. When you finish your embroidery, it goes back to the first step again. And our first step was the shape. So we're going to let it sew that shape out again. But before we do that, we're going to lay another piece of green on there. So let's bring it this way just a little bit so we can kind of see both of them together. And Ozzy, what I'm going to have you do is take this green and lay it across the top like this. Just reach over and put, can you get it up under the foot there? And we want to smooth it out so that there's no, whoops. Let's go completely underneath the foot. So there's no ripples on there at all. Does that look nice and flat from where you're at? So you see we got it completely covering up our face. And now all we're going to do is we're going to put the green back in there again. So Ozzy, go ahead and put the green back in there. So when this is finished sewing this little outline that's around the top of this, we're going to take it out of the hoop and cut out the egg and turn it inside out. And we'll show you how we're going to do that. But before we get to that part, we're going to actually sew out the other two eggs so that you can see them embroidered out. Okay, so what we're doing now is we're sitting on Layla's bed. We've already finished out our Easter egg, and Ozzy is sitting very patiently pulling all of the paper off of the back because we didn't use a cutaway or a wash away, we just used a tear away. And since it's going to be on the inside of the egg, it doesn't really matter if we've got a little bit of paper still in there. We just want to get most of it out. The next thing that we want to do is we want to cut it out. You want to leave about 1/4 of an inch around the outside, because if you get too close to the edge, you're going to probably pull it apart as you're stuffing it. So I'm leaving maybe a little bit more than 1/4 of an inch, maybe 3/8 of an inch, just enough that I can cut it out without cutting into my seam. And this is polar fleece, so it's not real easy to cut out, but I think we've got it pretty good here. Voila. Now, I'm going to tell you something. I'm always really quick to admit to you guys when I make a mistake, and I made a mistake. I forgot to leave an opening in the egg for turning this inside out. I probably should, as it sewed around, I should have stopped it before it finished the egg completely. So what we're going to have to do is figure out a way to turn this inside out without wrecking it. And I think the best way to do it is to trim it right here close to the bottom of the egg where we don't have a lot going on. I'm cutting right on top of my stitches because that way it kind of rips it out, but it doesn't take away from my original pillow. And now I've got a hole right here, and I'm going to turn the whole thing inside out. And I've showed you in previous videos how to do a ladder stitch. That's completely hide your stitches. So that's how we're going to close these little eggs up with, is with a ladder stitch. And look at our egg. Isn't that cute? And now I'm going to have Ozzy just take some stuffing, and I've got a whole bag full of stuffing here that I bought. I try and keep it around for all my doll making, and I'm going to have him go ahead and stuff that. Layla, as you can hear in the background, her machine is still running. We're going to finish up her egg, and I'm not going to finish mine up because it's just taking too long, but you got the idea of how to do it, and then we'll show you what our eggs look like when we're all finished. Okay, so we finished our eggs, and you can see them. Let me see yours, Ozzy. See, Ozzy's kind of looks like a little bit of a monster, more than it looks like an Easter egg, and it's got his name on the top of it. But I still think it came out really cute. And Layla's kind of looks like a quilt because she used all the quilting stitches and put some polka dots on it, and she even put her name on the back of it. So, but I still think that came out really cute. I really like it a whole lot. And if we had it in a great big basket with like 7 or 8 of them, or made them smaller, so we even had them in a regular basket, I think they'd look like Easter eggs. I certainly hope you think they look like Easter eggs. And I know we had a lot of fun doing this, playing with the embroidery machine and trying to think of something new and exciting to do. So I hope you had a good time. If you liked it, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe, and we'll see you again next week. Here, Layla, I'm going to throw this at your brother.